I would like to put a question to Stephen, but I'd like all of you to chime in on this here in the last 10 minutes or so that we have. Talk to me about how you all are using AI, if in particular you're using it on any difficult or challenging stories that we've been discussing, or just even in general terms. What impact or what effect is it having? Stephen, let's hear from you first.
Hmm. Um, the question of the moment. Um, so I could probably answer this kind of in two parts. I think the first part is that in some ways AI doesn't change anything. In the sense that when you're talking about being on the ground, when you're talking about trying to access places that are difficult to access, getting information, whether that's from, the local population in Sinaloa who are in the middle of an intra-cartel war, or from cartel members. Really, uh, this is real proper shoe leather reporting. This is not something that AI is replacing. Um, uh, and it becomes ever more important, I think, in a moment where you have so much digital information and where you have the kind of power of AI. So I think that's the kind of my initial response. I mean, we do use it. We do increasingly use AI, particularly for large documents and things like that.
Do you have an
That
example that you could think of?
um yeah, I mean, just for court decisions or court files or things like that. I mean, AI is just incredible at being able to summarize those kinds of documents. You might have like a 150-page case file, right? And its ability to summarize that and also switch between languages. So you might have something, a kind of Spanish language case file in kind of legal jargon Spanish, really hard to read, really hard to understand. You feed that through different AI programs, and it will give you a one-page summary in English. So that kind of stuff is incredible. So I think it definitely kind of it becomes part of your arsenal for investigative journalism, but isn't going to replace the importance of being on the ground.
Any debates that are going on in Reuters or with fellow journalists about, well, yeah, we could do this with AI and it would help, and people saying, no, 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 that's not something we should be doing with AI. Where are you on that debate?
I think we're pretty all in at Reuters. I think, from pretty early on, we're part of Thomson Reuters, the parent company, which has also been really big on AI and uses it for a lot of its legal clients and accounting clients. And I think we've been pretty uh, keen and put a lot of money into creating AI tools that we can use for our journalism, and being very much encouraged to use it. And it's definitely it already is and will continue to be a huge help. But I think that, yeah, as I was saying, that kind of the human intelligence and human information, uh, that continues to be like the engine, right, for a lot of
Right.
this reporting.
And Nilu, what about you?
Yes, I mean, I agree with you, Stephen. It can't replicate at all what we do, but it sometimes it makes things faster. I mean, I when you're talking about documents, we when we worked on the Native American boarding school investigation at the Washington Post, we had hundreds of documents of enrollment records, old newspaper clippings, and some of these old records that we used were all written in handwriting, which will just increase my astigmatism if I look at it too much. And so we would just upload all of these documents onto Google Pinpoint. That made it really like so much easier for us just to search and learn more because we were trying to confirm the deaths of young students at boarding school. So Google Pinpoint was great. It helped us just kind of go through and be able to keyword search handwriting, which was such a game changer in being able to speed up this process. So that was helpful. What I do see, I mean, we there's so much, AI videos being shared, especially in right now during the context of the war. Some people do really great jobs at debunking it. Shayan Sardarizadeh at BBC Verify. Shayan is amazing. He'll walk through why something is manipulated. I mean, we even saw it last summer in the airstrike on Evin prison. An Israeli politician shared this video. And at the outset, for anyone who, works with video in a forensic manner and who has training or it looks a lot at it, it looked fake to me immediately because it just was, black and white, the front gates of Evin. This politician said we hit Evin and it hit it was a big explosion, but a skinny little tree in the background moved barely like this. And that's just simply not what you would see from a blast wave, but it spread like wildfire. So I see that a lot. And it really, again, highlights the importance of video verification in this time. But again, it's just like for me in terms of geolocating, georeferencing, AI has helped a little bit, but it's such a human process because you do need to be looking at imagery yourself and comparing it with other data points. So it's still a very like doing the work is very human coded. And
It seems like it's going to make your job all the more important, but also much harder too, because you're
yeah.
gonna have a lot more information to work with, especially visually, but just
Mhm.
confirming what's real and what isn't is also going to get much harder.
Absolutely. And what I saw a lot, especially during the massacre, is I saw AI manipulated imagery and video. So photos that were real, I saw AI enhanced. So there was a photo of a woman at the morgue in Capri-Zac morgue, really horrible footage of just dozens of body bags. And I saw one image that was real, which was a woman with, staring in the crowds of these body bags, and there were people in the background. And then I saw the AI version shared, which just dramatized it. It added more rows of body bags and removed people. And it just really made me question just like, why do we do this? The image itself is already horrible enough. Why are we enhancing it even more? And so I think it's helpful in those moments for us to be critical and to think about why these manipulated images and videos are spreading as well.
Hmm. Mohammed, anything you'd like to add to that?
I think I remember, covering the war from the ground. I don't remember we had that kind of luxury to sit with the internet and be able to access this kind of technicality, given this the pace and the intensity of everything that was happening at such a speed level. Information was coming in at such a level that we didn't really had any control over. The job was really massive in terms of like, verification and fact checking and double sourcing and being able to talk with people and at the same time writing the story while we're also witnessing another bombing or another attack that is being happening in place. So I don't, personally speaking, I can't really remember a time where I had refuge for an AI service that was that at least made my job easier at that point. But I think after leaving Gaza, there is this kind of technicality and the level of assistance that AI might conservatively offer, accessing this, huge clouds of data and information that might be necessary for the reporting at some point to some extent. But then again, as Nilo and Stefan said, you have to do the human kind of job due diligence at the end of the day, just to make sure like reporting is credible and authentic and being truthful and factual and truth based and actually well sourced to the point that is really defensible and bulletproof. AI doesn't have that kind of potential. And I don't think it will, because at the end of the day you have the kind of human level and the intelligence of people who belong to the craft and who have spent years and decades just mastering the kind of ability of engaging with this kind of field and profession in a way that is unprecedented. And when you're able to do this kind of level of skill and analysis and human thought to this job, it's really hard to manufacture it elsewhere with any sort of like level of machine intelligence or
Mohammed,
supposedly smart thing. Yeah.
one final question. We're down to our final couple minutes here, but I wanted to ask you, you're in New York now, looking at Gaza long distance. Tell us what that looks like from New York and how you're able to communicate with people in Gaza these days. Have communications gotten better since the ceasefire was announced last October, though obviously there's still levels of violence and very limited reconstruction and repairs underway. But just give us a sense of what it's like.
It's that part of the job is where my emotional kind of connection swoops in. It's just like seeing a place where I call home, being under that kind of you know um challenges, only to sustain a sense of normalcy, only to provide a sense of quiet and calm and peace and stability and security for the people who have yearned for that for so long. And at the same time, I'm sitting here reporting on stories that feel thousands of miles away, although I was the same person who lived through these stories one day, and I mean, reporting on the shortages of food, for example, on the shutting down of crossing, on the lack of necessities and food for people. When at some point back in the day, when I was in there, I was diagnosed with acute malnutrition with my toddler, which is the stage that precedes starvation as a result of the shortages of food that we had to navigate back then. So right now I'm in that kind of place where I have to keep moving forward and carrying the story and the legacy ahead, because these people trusted me with their stories, with their narratives, with their voices. And at the same time, I can't move ahead and just leave it behind, everything that I have left behind. It's a place where I call home, and it's really breaks my heart to see it like, being um slipping out of attention, given the scale of the world kind of, dramas and conflicts and the kind of the news cycles and everything that's happening all at once. Gaza is just one story. It's not the main story anymore. We have other tragedies around the world. We have other heartbreaks that are happening. We have other humanities and peoples and communities that are also being stripped out of their agency and voices. And so it breaks my heart to be able to navigate all of that, while at the same time keeping and trying to keep Gaza at my heart and at my job at the center of that and everything. And so communication with people, it has been, I think, relatively easier somehow. There are parts in Gaza where communication was restructured. The infrastructure was a little bit put down to work in some certain areas in the strip where bombardment and destruction weren't really total or absolute. But still, it's really challenging for so many places, for so many people there, including journalists, to continue to have their presence online all the time, because movement is still restricted. Mobility around Gaza is still restricted. The people are being pushed towards one part of the areas that are inhabitable right now, and they have like this red line that is provisionally supposed to be like a fixed strict red yellow line, sorry, that keeps shifting and changing places. And the people are having to navigate this kind of security measurement and moving around and just dealing with that on a day-to-day basis. So connection is easier somehow, but it's not totally feasible, and it's not really always
Got it.
safe all the time to get that connection.
Got it. Got it. Thank you, Mohammed. These are really, really tough stories, and I appreciate your sharing them with us. I'd like to thank Mohammed and Nilu and Stephen for an excellent panel, sharing some really fascinating, difficult stories that they've been working on all over the world. Thank you all to our audience for joining us on this OPC panel. We'll be doing this again and hope to see you guys again. So thanks to all. We appreciate it.